You're listening to What She Said on Canada Talks.
I'm Christine Bentley in studio with Sharon Caddy, and joining us today is four-time Canadian Olympian Simon Whitfield, who is on a mission. Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So you basically want to exchange the word hibernate for HiberNot.
I want to get people outside and not through the winter, not just staying inside. And I appreciate that in this kind of weather, that's ambitious. But winter's a time when you can go explore too, and so we want people to get out and explore. HiberNot, don't hibernate.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So you have partnered up with.
I have the best job right now.
So tell us all about it.
Well, okay, so I went to Land Rover and said, can I go exploring throughout British Columbia with my kids and go explore? And they said, well, coincidentally, that works with our HiberNot because we want people to get outside and adventure. We want people to, get in the car, go out of town, and get some space and go explore. And I said, I can do that. So that I volunteered to do that because it's a rough life, but somebody needs to get out and explore, and so I'm doing that.
Is this a new campaign for Land Rover?
They've done it in the UK and had a lot of success with it. A lot of people just share their this is where I went out and I got away from hibernating and I went out and exploring. And so I've actually gone around. I went to Scarborough Bluffs yesterday and
Great
hit
place.
oh, it's beautiful, stunning. And I hit a whole bunch of a little scavenger hunt of stuff for my kids because we're coming back out for Pan Am Games, and I've made a little map and so forth and so on where they can go find at the Scarborough Bluffs, including one piece that's a little further down the cliff than I think I meant it to be.
Now, for families that are saying, okay, this is a cool idea, and why aren't we doing this anyway? How are you encouraging families to participate?
For me, it really starts before you go out. It's the art project that it turns into. It's I'm using a handmade mobile you can buy in Victoria, and I hide all the pieces in different envelopes, and I make a little map, and we sketch it out together. Last week in Victoria, I paddled out with my 7-year-old to an old abandoned boathouse on an island, and we hid artwork from my mom, who's 73 and is going. Oh, sorry, Mom. She's somewhat in there, and she's going to go out and find it on a map we made, and that's all just part of the adventure. And the kids, it becomes part of the experience. This HiberNot is what do you do before and after that connects
It's family
to that.
time.
It is, and it connects to that experience. Yeah, it's really, and even if it's not family time, getting out with your friends and going up north, going up to Halton Hills, go check out Caledon, go out to go to
Bruce
Dundas.
Trail.
The Bruce Trail's extraordinary.
Yeah.
I trained in Dundas. Your HiberNot adventure could be out in Dundas, and if you go on the website hibernot.ca, share it with us, share it with everybody. Say this is the idea we did with our family. This is where we got to. And
Well, it's pretty timely with March break coming up, but generally speaking, big picture, we don't do that enough as Canadians. We do hibernate in the winter. I remember I would not chat with my neighbor in the spring and in the fall, but in the winter we would grab our groceries and run into the house. You don't really stay outside much.
No, of course. Well, you can come to Toronto and you can use the path to get everywhere you need anyway.
Exactly.
And of course, I mean it's cold, and you've been through the coldest February on record.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's very bold of me to say from 12 degrees in Victoria.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, seriously, you're here preaching for people to get outside, and what are you doing, complaining to your neighbor about how often you have to mow the lawn?
Well, that's it. I had to step over the tulips the other day. And I was
Oh,
just like,
dear.
oh my goodness, how am I going to get out? No, I grew up in Kingston and down by the lake, so I know all about the
Tough
wind off
winter.
the water and spending a lot of time in Ottawa and being on the frozen canal there and in the Gatineau. But the point is just get outside. It's the environment you live in, I mean, it's get out. And I call it outdoor fit for my own personal fitness. I don't work out anywhere near what I used to. But I work out around the idea right now of being fit outside and in the environment that you're with. And for me, it comes back to a little bit, not to sound so doomsday, but in Victoria, the one thing with great weather we have is this idea of the seismic, the earthquake. An earthquake. Okay, in the next 50 years, there's a good chance of an earthquake. Could you get from where you are to where your kids are? That to me is outdoor fit. Like if it's 10 kilometers away and a car could make it, could you make it there? As their parent, I feel a responsibility to do that. And so that's where my fitness routine comes in. And then I realized that I could bring my kids into this outdoor fit kind of activity.
But is it also for you on your mind the fact that study after study talking about how youth today is maybe obese, but at the very least not fit. They don't exercise enough. They sit too much. And we understand, we're not blaming anybody because parents are busy. Usually both parents are working and they're commuting and
society's evolved in a way that has led us almost naturally in that direction, so we have to fight that.
Oh, absolutely. We've made it easier and easier and easier on ourselves.
Oh, it is.
I will say, like last night, I went, I'm on BC time, so it was a bit late, but I went for a 20-minute walk out in the cold because I just wanted to get out and move. I'd come in from Victoria on the red eye. I hadn't got any exercise yesterday. I knew I wasn't going to, but I made a point at the end of the day of making sure I got out for a brisk walk because you've got to get out and move. And one of the things why I think kids are sedentary, we've made it very complicated. You've got to go to the gym, you've got to do this, here's your training program, here's your nutrition, here's your shake. No, you know what? Get out and move. Just get out and keep moving.
Well, how is this different than that, though? Because we do. I mean, there are even studies showing that parents who have decided, no, I'm not having you sit on the couch, they've got their kids so programmed that they don't have 5 minutes to breathe. They come from school and you're going to swimming and then you're going to hockey and then you're going to gymnastics and then
Unstructured play.
Unstructured play is
so
really
critical.
what this sounds like, but also there are other advantages than just moving around because it's connecting.
Oh, it is, and that's why I've been saying about the artwork before and after is the connection with my kids. And for me, it's been it was 20 years since I sat down and sketched anything. It's a thing you don't end up doing. You're busy, but with my kids, all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I have a perfectly valid excuse to sit down and just sketch or learn music, or we take music lessons together.
That's cool.
Art lessons. Well, I realized, if I want to learn music, the best place to start is taught as if you're a kid. Because if you were to jump in right now with my singing voice, it'd be the worst ever. But if you learn with your kids, you really learn at the beginner level, obviously, and the way they take in information is really fascinating. So
I think it's important we encourage that, though, because there's something that happens when we become adults that we expect we can just be told how to do something and do it perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Yet the learning curve remains the same, really, as it was when we were kids. We just view it differently.
You get it, absolutely. I've been watching my kids learn how to swim. I do yoga on Fridays while watching them swim. And I'm over there doing this yoga partly because I'm much more engaged when I'm active and moving. But I'm also fascinated to watch my 7-year-old figure out how front crawl works.
Yeah.
And to see, and not be the overbearing parent who's like, well, no, just do it this way. I would just like watching her evolve and learn it. It's fascinating.
And isn't yoga just the best?
It's funny. I do it yourself yoga. I've never been to a yoga class.
I just
make it up as I go along. I figure you must breathe out on the way down and breathe in on the way up, and you're good.
Pretty much.
So for all the parents out there, why don't you run through a list of some possible ways that they could engage in this HiberNot?
I think it really comes down to taking on that moment of creativity. It's sitting around the dinner table, and instead of someone being on their phone at the dinner table or being, getting away from the table as fast as possible, sitting down and saying, let's make a plan, let's make a map. Let's get back to this very basic idea of just let's simply make a little map of where we want to go. So you might go up to Haltane Hills, you might go up to Horseshoe Valley, you might go up to Dundas. I spent time in Dundas training. It's beautiful there. And go explore and go see this beautiful. You live in this unbelievable province, and even in the winter.
But it doesn't matter where, because our audience is all over.
Oh, of course,
this
there
country,
you go. Yeah.
all over this country, and in warmer weather and colder weather, and
we live in a spectacular country for
something.
Things you can see.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We have lots of room.
Yeah. I've been across it racing, and we just live in the most extraordinary, beautiful country, and getting out and exploring it. I can't think of a worse thing to do than sitting down in your.
So give us some of your favorite ideas then, just to get parents thinking.
Thinking on those tracks.
Yeah.
Again, I come back to this making the map and making an artwork project out of it. And like I said, we went and hid artwork I call it art treasures. We hide art treasures for my mom to go explore. So now we've got multi-generational. We've got my kids interacting with their grandmother in an art project that involves figuring out something to draw, going and hiding. We go hide it. We have to build a map. So my 7-year-old, my 4-year-old now understand how a map works, how scale works, how attention to detail works, how landmarks work. All good things. And I use that all as part of the learning experience. And if I want to do some math with them in there, we can do some math around it. We can hide different math puzzles, all of which engages them in the academic world, but in a way that they don't even really know what's happening. They're just interacting with this fun thing we've created. And so, like I said, we went and hid this art piece in an old boathouse, and then we hid a new art piece with a new map to that. We put a riddle in with it. All
That's
stuff that
fun.
we created together. It was super fun.
That's so
and,
fun.
and my daughter does it all. I sit back and it's really, when I say hands-on, it's hands-on for her.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, okay, sweetheart, you want to tell Gran how to get there. Well, how are you going to explain that to her? And then I sit back and let her figure it out.
And I love that you're getting kids to think around what we've come to know in terms of, like, we rely on things like a GPS. You program in something and this voice is going to tell you, turn here, turn there, go 10 steps, turn there.
Yep.
This is bringing it back to driving the activity yourself and using your brain.
Absolutely.
Love it.
A lot of people said to me, "Oh, you've tried geocaching." I say, "Yeah, of course, geocaching is super fun."
Mhm.
But there's something to be said for doing things without all that technology.
right.
And so, just for me, with the HiberNot thing, was like, what a great opportunity. It's great. Don't hibernate all winter. Just get outside, be active, or be creative. If you're not an active family that really wants to go and do something super physical, then go do something creative where you've figured out something outside.
Love it.
Yeah.
So where can people go to find out
They can
more
go
about this?
to HiberNot.ca
Mhm.
and they can register there to share what they've done. And I'd love to see, as you said, what are my ideas? My ideas were around making the map, but other people will come up with extraordinary ideas if
And
they.
can post it there?
Yeah, and they can post it there, and I'm going to be on there watching because I want to see different ideas for myself. I'm going to go travel around British Columbia and go up to Haida Gwaii and up to Tofino next week and into Hazleton and
That's
Brunswick.
fun.
Yeah, and I want to explore. But if someone gives me new ideas on HiberNot.ca, then I can go there
And besides that, what is Simon Whitfield doing?
What am I keeping myself busy
Yeah.
with? Yeah, no, I'm having a lot of fun. I retired 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and I play indoor soccer to get my competitive,
Mhm.
and we're terrible. We're absolutely terrible.
But it's okay to be terrible
No,
at
it's
a few
so
things.
fun. I love being terrible at it. We're just terrible. The whole group of us all just acknowledged the other day. We're like, we're really bad at this. It's great. And then I run a couple different businesses and really enjoy that challenge, and it's super interesting. And then figuring out how fitness works for me now that I don't train 30 hours a week. And
Yeah.
all of any training I do now, like I said, it's I hate to say doomsday again, but it's like how could you get from here to there? But it's also investing in how the 80-year-old self. How healthy do I want to be when I'm 80? Because the decisions I make now around my fitness, health, and nutrition really affect how I'm going to be when
Absolutely.
I'm 80.
Absolutely.
So if that guy could call me up now and say, hey, could you do this, this, and this? Please take care of your knees. Make sure
Yeah.
your diet's good. Could you do this? Keep your brain health is the most
Right.
important. You have an obligation to yourself because you certainly don't want to get there and be like, oops, I should have thought of this
Yeah.
earlier. And that's my fitness plan now. All revolves around that.
Words of wisdom. Definitely
see.
words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Simon Whitfield,
Yeah,
for joining
thanks
us.
for
It's
having
such a pleasure, and I'm going to check out HiberNot.ca for
Great.
sure. All of you should. HiberNot.ca, so great ideas on there, especially, remember, March break right around the corner.
Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.